7 on Your Side has confirmed the closure of 7 auto dealerships in 2 Bay Area cities. The closures have left anxious customers with few answers.
Right now, at this very moment, 3 million brand new vehicles are sitting unsold across America, slowly bleeding dealerships dry as they gather dust. Behind the shiny showrooms and friendly sales pitches lies a financial disaster that's spiraling out of control. Cars meant to sell in 60 days are rotting for 6 months. And what happens next will shock you. Dealerships have activated an emergency plan you were never supposed to know about, one that transforms how vehicles move through a shadow automotive economy and eventually leads to decisions that would outrage most consumers. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the automotive industry's darkest secret, what really happens to the cars that never sell. But here's what most car buyers don't realize. This isn't just about dealerships struggling with excess inventory. A sophisticated underground network has emerged, creating a parallel automotive universe worth over $3 billion annually that operates completely outside public view. And the most disturbing part, some brand new vehicles are being deliberately destroyed rather than sold at discount, crushed into cubes of metal worth pennies on the dollar to protect something manufacturers value more than the cars themselves. By the end of this video, you'll understand why that row of untouched vehicles at your local dealership might be destined for a fate far more shocking than a simple price reduction. What really happens to the millions of unsold vehicles sitting on dealer lots, and what does this hidden crisis reveal about the automotive industry's most closely guarded secrets? The answers will forever change how you view car buying in America. This isn't just about business decisions or market forces, it's about a system deliberately designed to keep consumers in the dark while protecting corporate interests at all costs. The truth involves secret dealer networks, international export channels, and corporate destruction protocols that prioritize brand protection over environmental responsibility and consumer value. The scale of the crisis. The numbers are staggering and would shock most consumers. Right now, 3.04 million brand new cars, trucks, and SUVs are sitting unsold on dealer lots across America, more vehicles than the entire population of Chicago. This massive inventory glut represents a 55% increase compared to just 1 year ago. That's more than 1 million additional vehicles that dealers are now forced to carry. Each of these unsold vehicles creates a financial drain that's slowly bleeding dealerships dry. A single unsold car costs dealers between $800 and $1,200 per month in financing charges alone, before factoring in insurance, lot space, and relentless depreciation. For a dealership carrying 200 unsold vehicles, that's over $200,000 in monthly carrying costs that generate zero revenue. Take the Ford Escape as a perfect example of this crisis. Dealerships nationwide are currently sitting on nearly 58,000 unsold 2024 Escape units, representing more than 6 months of market supply. Meanwhile, Ford continues shipping new 2025 models to those same overwhelmed dealers, creating a mathematical impossibility that threatens the entire distribution system. The consequences ripple far beyond individual dealerships. Entire automotive supply chains hang in the balance as manufacturers calculate whether continuing production costs less than stopping it. In corporate boardrooms across Detroit, CFOs create spreadsheets comparing the cost of making cars against the expense of massive layoffs. Sometimes the numbers reveal a shocking truth. Building cars nobody wants costs less than stopping production. For dealers, the financial pressure creates a predictable pattern of desperation. Month 1 of unsold inventory represents manageable concern. Month 3 triggers serious anxiety. Month 6 creates financial crisis. Month 8 forces impossible decisions between bankruptcy and liquidation. Industry analysts estimate that current inventory levels are costing American car dealers collectively over $4 billion annually in carrying costs alone. The 4 stages of dealer desperation. When inventory sits too long, dealers enter a carefully orchestrated 4-stage process that most consumers never see. Each stage represents increasing levels of financial desperation and reveals how dealerships systematically extract maximum value from vehicles that failed to sell through traditional channels. Stage 1. The incentive illusion. When you see dealers offering 0% financing, $5,000 cashback rebates, and employee pricing to the general public, they're not being generous. They're implementing stage 1 of a survival strategy. These aren't gifts, they're signs of desperation. 0% financing offers represent one of the most expensive tactics dealers use during inventory crisis. While customers celebrate avoiding interest payments, dealers absorb costs that can exceed $4,500 per vehicle over a 5-year loan. Employee pricing deals sound exclusive but actually mean selling vehicles below dealer cost. A guaranteed loss on every transaction. Dealers accept these losses because monthly carrying costs exceed the per-vehicle loss on immediate sales. Consumer excitement over these amazing deals masks the underlying reality that these incentives represent dealer panic rather than generosity. Customers who understand this dynamic gain significant negotiating power because dealers genuinely need to move inventory more than they need to maintain profit margins. Stage 2. The overnight transformation. Sarah Martinez brought her Honda Accord to the dealership service department for routine maintenance and discovered the vehicle she'd driven as a loaner had only 23 miles on the odometer. 3 months later, she saw that same vehicle listed as certified pre-owned with 2,800 miles and a price reduction of $4,000 from its original new car sticker price. This overnight transformation of new vehicles into used inventory represents one of the automotive industry's most widespread but least discussed practices. Dealerships convert unsold new vehicles into loaner fleets, demo vehicles, or management cars for periods ranging from 30 to 90 days. Once these vehicles accumulate minimal mileage, they legally become used cars and can be sold at reduced prices without admitting failure to sell them as new. Loaner fleet conversion happens systematically when new vehicle inventory exceeds acceptable levels. Service departments suddenly have an abundance of current model year vehicles available for customers during repairs. These vehicles might be driven 200 to 800 miles over several months before returning to sales inventory as pre-owned vehicles. Price differentials between new and slightly used versions of identical vehicles create consumer confusion that dealers exploit strategically. A vehicle with 1,500 miles might cost $5,000 less than an identical new model, representing genuine savings for informed customers while allowing dealers to move aging inventory at reduced loss levels. Certified pre-owned programs legitimize this practice by offering manufacturer warranties and quality guarantees on vehicles that were never actually owned by retail customers. These programs transform inventory management problems into marketing advantages while maintaining customer satisfaction and dealer profitability. Stage 3. The underground network. The call came at 2 in the morning, which meant serious business in automotive wholesale circles. Jake Sullivan, who managed inventory for 3 dealerships across Northern California, needed to move 47 pickup trucks before month end. The dealer on the other end of the line, operating 4 lots in Texas, needed exactly that inventory mix to satisfy customer demand that California couldn't generate. Inter-dealership trading operates as a vast underground network that most consumers never see, but which moves thousands of vehicles monthly across regional markets. When local demand fails to materialize, dealers coordinate with partners hundreds or thousands of miles away to exchange unwanted inventory for vehicles that match their customer demographics. Regional demand arbitrage creates opportunities for dealers willing to invest in transportation logistics. products. Luxury sedans that sit unsold in rural markets command premium prices in affluent urban areas. All-wheel drive vehicles excess to Southwest dealers sell immediately when shipped to Mountain West markets facing winter weather demands. Convertibles stranded in northern climates find eager buyers in southern states with longer warm seasons. Transportation costs for vehicle relocation typically range from $500 to $1,500 per vehicle, depending on distance and shipping method. Dealers absorb these costs because regional price differences often exceed transportation expenses by significant margins. A luxury vehicle worth $35,000 in an oversupplied market might sell for $42,000 in a supply-constrained region. Digital platforms facilitate these trading relationships through secure dealer-only networks that operate parallel to consumer-facing automotive websites. Dealers post excess inventory with detailed specifications, pricing, and availability timelines. Partner dealers browse these listings like private automotive catalogs, negotiating terms that would seem impossible to retail customers. Stage 4. The point of no return. Michael Chen stared at the spreadsheet that would end his family's 30-year relationship with automotive retail sales. The numbers were brutally clear. 138 vehicles sitting unsold for more than 6 months, representing over $4.2 million in depreciated inventory that would never generate sufficient profit to justify continued ownership. Dealer acceptance that normal sales channels have failed triggers the automotive industry's most dramatic transformation. Stage 4 represents the point where traditional automotive retail relationships dissolve, replaced by wholesale liquidation strategies that prioritize financial survival over customer relationships, brand loyalty, or community presence. Success rates for different liquidation stages reveal why dealers progress systematically through these options. Stage 1 incentives move approximately 30 to 40% of problematic inventory. Stage 2 conversions eliminate another 20 to 30%. Stage 3, trading resolves 15 to 20% of remaining issues. Stage 4, liquidation handles whatever remains, regardless of financial consequences. This progression creates a cultural shift from relationship-based to transaction-based automotive sales that fundamentally alters how dealers interact with their communities. Long-term customer relationships become secondary to immediate inventory movement. Brand loyalty programs lose relevance when survival requires liquidating brand-specific inventory regardless of manufacturer preferences. The $3 billion secret. What if the biggest automotive marketplace in America operates completely outside public view? Every week, while consumers browse dealer lots and negotiate prices, a parallel automotive universe processes hundreds of thousands of vehicles through a sophisticated network that most car buyers never hear about, never see, and definitely never understand. The United States vehicle auction market generated $3.32 billion in 2023, moving 13.84 million units annually through channels that operate entirely separate from traditional retail automotive sales. This massive industry grew from local wholesale operations into a global marketplace that now influences vehicle pricing, availability, and distribution patterns across every automotive market in America. Industry professionals operating in this shadowy parallel economy include specialized auctioneers, logistics coordinators, vehicle inspectors, and wholesale buyers who process automotive history daily. These professionals understand vehicle values, market trends, and disposal strategies that remain completely invisible to retail customers paying sticker prices at traditional dealerships. Vehicles disappearing from consumer sight into wholesale channels follow predictable pathways that dealers know intimately but rarely discuss publicly. Failed retail inventory moves from dealer lots to auction facilities where wholesale buyers, rental companies, export specialists, and recyclers compete for vehicles that couldn't find retail buyers at any price. The average price differential between retail and auction sales reveals the true cost of traditional automotive marketing. Vehicles that dealers list for $35,000 routinely sell at auction for $22,000 to $27,000, representing the difference between optimistic retail hopes and realistic wholesale market values. Rebecca Thompson drove her battered pickup truck through the gates of Manheim, Atlanta, knowing she was entering automotive wholesale territory where her small used car lot would compete against multinational corporations, rental fleet buyers, and international exporters for vehicles that might save or destroy her family business. Cox Automotive and its Manheim auction subsidiary control approximately 60% of physical automotive auction volume in America, operating over 100 auction facilities that process millions of vehicles annually. This market dominance creates pricing influence and inventory control that affects every automotive transaction from new car production planning to used car lot inventory selection. Regional auction facility networks provide geographic coverage that enables efficient vehicle transportation and distribution across American markets. Major metropolitan areas host multiple auction facilities that specialize in different vehicle types, condition categories, and buyer demographics. Rural facilities focus on pickup trucks, agricultural vehicles, and fleet cars that serve local market demands. Small dealers like Rebecca face intimidating competition from buyers representing national used car chains, rental companies with specific vehicle replacement needs, and international exporters seeking particular vehicle types for overseas markets. Bidding strategies require sophisticated understanding of market values, transportation costs, and resale opportunities that take years to develop. Inventory management at large auction facilities resembles automotive airports where thousands of vehicles arrive, undergo processing, and depart weekly. Logistics coordination involves vehicle transportation, storage, inspection, photography, and preparation for sale presentation that requires military-level precision and scheduling. The digital disruption. Auto Bidmaster's founder watched online auction activity exceed $100 million in a single week, knowing that digital platforms were fundamentally changing who could participate in automotive wholesale markets that had been restricted to licensed dealers with physical auction facility access for nearly a century. Traditional auction house employees adapting to technology face learning curves that challenge decades of in-person automotive expertise. Auctioneers skilled at reading physical crowd reactions and managing live bidding dynamics had to master digital platforms where bidder emotions and financial limits remained hidden behind computer screens. Online salvage auction market growth from $15 billion to projected $67.9 billion by 2030 represents one of the fastest expanding segments in automotive commerce. Damaged vehicles, insurance, total losses, and repossessed inventory find new life through digital platforms that connect sellers with buyers across global markets. International participation growth through digital platforms opened American automotive auctions to buyers from countries seeking specific vehicle types unavailable in their domestic markets. Japanese buyers sought American pickup trucks. European buyers targeted classic American muscle cars, and developing nation importers purchased fleet vehicles for taxi and commercial use. Artificial intelligence integration enabled automated bidding systems that could participate in hundreds of auctions simultaneously based on predetermined criteria for vehicle type, condition, price ranges, and transportation logistics. These systems processed auction information faster than human bidders while executing strategies too complex for manual implementation. The international escape route. What happened next would alter the global automotive landscape forever. While American consumers rejected certain vehicle models as unsuitable for domestic markets, buyers in Nigeria, Ghana, and the Philippines competed aggressively for these same vehicles, paying premium prices that often exceeded their original American retail values. American automotive excess becoming an international opportunity creates economic relationships that most domestic consumers never understand. Vehicles that fail to attract buyers in saturated American markets become highly desirable imports in developing nations where automotive choice remains limited, and American vehicles represent status symbols, reliability, and technological advancement. International automotive export volume reveals the massive scale of this global redistribution system. American automotive exports exceeded 1.44 million vehicles annually, with significant portions representing former dealer inventory that couldn't find domestic buyers. Port facilities in California, Texas, and Florida process thousands of these vehicles weekly for destinations across Africa, Asia, and South America. Specific country preferences for American vehicle types follow predictable patterns based on infrastructure, economic conditions, and cultural factors. West African nations favor large pickup trucks and sport utility vehicles suitable for challenging road conditions. Caribbean islands prefer fuel-efficient sedans and compact vehicles appropriate for island geography and limited fuel availability. Developing nation consumers accessing previously unavailable vehicles through these export channels gain transportation options that improve economic opportunities, social mobility, and quality of life in ways that American consumers take for granted in mature automotive markets. The $25 billion graveyard. Carlos Martinez operated the crusher at Detroit Auto Recycling, watching a pristine 2023 luxury sedan worth $60,000 new disappear into cubes of compacted metal worth $800 in scrap value. The mathematics of automotive recycling revealed economic realities that challenge every assumption about vehicle value and disposal. Automotive recycling, as the 16th largest United States industry, processes more vehicles annually than most people realize, while generating $25 billion in economic activity. This massive recycling infrastructure employs over 140,000 people at more than 9,000 locations nationwide, creating economic activity that extends far beyond traditional automotive manufacturing. 12.66 million vehicles recycled yearly represents a steady stream of automotive materials that supply steel mills, aluminum foundries, and parts manufacturers with raw materials worth significantly more than the vehicle's final retail values. Recycling efficiency rates approaching 80% mean that most vehicle components find new life in different applications. Environmental activists witnessing massive automotive waste streams recognize recycling as environmental protection that prevents automotive materials from entering landfills while reducing demand for new material extraction and processing. Recycling 4 tires reduces carbon dioxide emissions by approximately 323 pounds, equivalent to 18 gallons of gasoline consumption. Automotive recycling greenhouse gas reduction exceeds 30 million metric tons annually, representing environmental benefits equivalent to removing millions of vehicles from active road use. These environmental benefits occur automatically through recycling operations without requiring consumer behavior changes or government mandates. The Brand Protection Protocol. Martin Webb, Lexus corporate strategist, signed the authorization that would send 247 unsold luxury vehicles directly to destruction rather than auction, protecting brand exclusivity and resale values, even though each vehicle represented a $60,000 loss that shareholders would never understand. Corporate executives choosing brand value over financial recovery implement protocols that prioritize long-term market positioning over short-term profit recovery. Luxury manufacturers particularly guard against inventory liquidation that might damage brand perception or create market confusion about vehicle values and exclusivity. Manufacturer destruction versus discount economics analysis reveals complex calculations involving immediate financial loss against long-term brand value protection. Discounting luxury vehicles by 50% might generate $25,000 immediate recovery, but could damage brand perception worth millions in future sales. Brand value protection costs include not only the vehicle's manufacturing manufacturing cost, but also dealer compensation, transportation expenses, and disposal facility fees. These total costs often exceed the potential recovery from heavily discounted sales, making destruction economically rational despite seeming wasteful. Historical parallels include previous brand protection incidents where manufacturers chose destruction over market damage. Fashion industry precedents establish legal frameworks for brand protection through product destruction that automotive manufacturers now employ routinely. Pattern recognition reveals that luxury brands implement destruction protocols more frequently than mass-market manufacturers due to higher brand value sensitivity and customer expectation management. Mass-market brands typically exhaust discounting options before considering destruction. What this means for car buyers. This complex shadow system has profound implications for anyone shopping for a vehicle in today's market. Understanding the desperation behind dealer incentives gives you tremendous negotiating leverage when inventory levels are high. Those 0% financing offers and employee pricing deals aren't generosity. They're financial lifelines for drowning dealerships. The certified pre-owned market now takes on an entirely different meaning when you realize many of these vehicles were never actually owned by previous retail customers. That certified pre-owned vehicle with 3,000 miles might have been a dealer demo or service loaner that couldn't sell as new, potentially representing thousands in additional savings if you know how to negotiate. For the budget-conscious buyer, understanding auction dynamics creates opportunities to purchase vehicles at wholesale prices through dealer-only channels. Building relationships with smaller dealerships that access these auction networks can connect you with vehicles at prices much closer to wholesale than traditional retail markup would suggest. Those considering luxury vehicle purchases should recognize the artificial price stability created by brand protection protocols. The $50,000 gap between new and 3-year-old luxury vehicles represents market manipulation rather than actual value depreciation, knowledge that helps you make more informed purchasing decisions and timing. But here's the shocking truth that ties everything together. The automotive industry's greatest secret isn't about cars that never sold. It's about cars that were never meant to survive. Vehicles deliberately destroyed to protect brand values that exceeded their individual worth. This systematic destruction reveals an economic system where perception matters more than physical reality. When luxury manufacturers choose to crush brand new vehicles rather than discount them, they're making a calculated decision that the long-term value of brand exclusivity exceeds the immediate recovery value of the physical product. This practice extends far beyond automotive manufacturing. The same economic calculation drives fashion brands to burn unsold clothing, technology companies to destroy excess inventory, and luxury goods manufacturers to shred products rather than discount them. The physical product becomes secondary to the intangible brand value it represents. For consumers, this revelation fundamentally changes how we should view automotive pricing and value. When manufacturers are willing to destroy perfectly functional vehicles rather than sell them at discount, every aspect of automotive pricing becomes suspect. The sticker price on a luxury vehicle isn't just inflated, it's deliberately manipulated to maintain an illusion of exclusivity and scarcity that manufacturers protect at all costs. The environmental implications are equally disturbing. While manufacturers trumpet their commitment to sustainability and emission reduction, they simultaneously implement destruction protocols that waste enormous resources and energy simply to maintain pricing power. This hypocrisy reveals how corporate environmental commitments often take a back seat to financial priorities when they conflict. Remember those 3 million unsold vehicles we mentioned at the beginning? Now you understand their potential fates. From desperate incentive programs to overseas exports to the crusher's metal jaws. The shiny new cars gathering dust at your local dealership aren't just inventory problems, they're pawns in a global economic system that prioritizes corporate interests over consumer value and environmental responsibility. The next time you see rows of untouched vehicles at a dealership, you'll recognize the signs of a system in crisis and the opportunities that crisis creates for informed buyers. Those aren't just cars waiting for customers, they're financial liabilities. Bleeding money every day, they remain unsold, pushing dealers toward increasingly desperate measures to stop the financial hemorrhaging. For manufacturers, dealers, and consumers alike, the lesson is clear. Our automotive production system is fundamentally disconnected from actual market demand. We're building millions of vehicles consumers don't want or can't afford, then implementing increasingly elaborate and wasteful systems to hide this fundamental market failure. The automotive industry's darkest secret isn't just about what happens to cars that never sell, it's about an entire economic model built on overproduction, artificial scarcity, and deliberate destruction. Some cars aren't just unsold, they're sacrificed on the altar of brand value, a practice that will continue as long as consumers remain in the dark about what really happens behind the dealership's closed doors. Now you know the truth. Some cars aren't just unsold, they're buried.